Never mistake The Sopranos for a story about power. It's a story about men who can't pay their bills. For a show about organized crime, The Sopranos features remarkably disorganized finances. Across 6 seasons of mobster melodrama and moral decay, one can't help but notice that nearly every made man is perpetually broke. The same men who extort, gamble, and murder over scraps of money are somehow unable to cover their daughter's tuition or their mother's nursing home bills. For all their talk of power and loyalty, their lives reveal an almost comical picture of financial incompetence and insecurity. Take Paulie Gualtieri, a longtime capo whose resume of bloodshed and extortion stretches back decades. Yet when the bill comes for his mother's nursing home, $8,000 a month in 2001, which translates to roughly $14,000 today, Paulie becomes a coupon-clipping pensioner overnight. Then there's Tony Soprano himself, rummaging through an abandoned property for $7,000 worth of copper pipes. Nothing says American crime kingpin like risking federal indictment to salvage plumbing. Johnny Sack fares no better. The consigliere of one of New York's 5 families, essentially the mafia's executive board, can't pay his daughter's school tuition when his construction racket slows down. This is a man supposedly among the top 20 mobsters in the country, brought to financial ruin by a few months of bad weather. If that's what the upper echelon looks like, one can only imagine the economic state of the foot soldiers. It's easy to assume there's a hidden fortune somewhere. Real estate portfolios, offshore accounts, perhaps a tasteful spread of stocks and bonds. But no. The reality is simpler and sadder. These men spend money as fast as they earn it, and they earn it in cash, which means nothing can ever be declared, invested, or insured. It's a life of envelopes and whispers, where the only safe asset is whatever can fit under a mattress. Carmela Soprano, the show's unlikely financial conscience, tries repeatedly to introduce some semblance of order: bank accounts, stocks, estate planning. Tony, ever the visionary, dismisses her concerns because his money can't be declared. Later, she discovers that depositing more than $10,000 triggers a federal report, forcing her to launder their lifestyle $9,990 at a time across multiple banks. Even the mob's domestic goddess is reduced to a part-time accountant in a Kafkaesque economy of paranoia. For all their bravado, the men of The Sopranos are allergic to delayed gratification. Gambling, mistresses, and gaudy displays of wealth devour whatever fleeting income they have. Tony buys a $1.5 million boat with no resale value, then groans about tuition bills. Paulie pockets hundreds of thousands from a heist, only to be shown later cutting grocery coupons. It's less organized crime than disorganized consumption. The irony runs deep. The mob, once synonymous with power and control, is portrayed here as a parody of the American middle class, mortgaged, anxious, and living far beyond its means. The captains whine like suburban dads about mortgages, tuition, and the price of pizza, each convinced that he's getting shortchanged by everyone else. "Tony, I'm dying here," they moan, as if the boss of North Jersey is also their personal financial planner. But their perpetual poverty isn't just a narrative quirk, it's a reflection of the system they inhabit. Cash flow in The Life is irregular and volatile. Rackets rise and fall, construction sites get raided, bookmaking profits vanish with a bad football season. Fencing stolen goods depends entirely on luck. One week it's plasma TVs, the next it's Centrum Silver. There's no stable salary, only an endless hustle. And in an organization built on hierarchy, the more money one appears to have, the more others demand a cut. Flaunting wealth invites suspicion. Claiming hardship protects one's margins. In the mob, pretending to be broke is practically a tax strategy. Historically, even real-life mobsters of the 1990s lived modestly compared to their cinematic counterparts. Tony's McMansion in suburban Jersey would have been an extravagance among his real-world peers, many of whom resided in nondescript homes and drove unremarkable cars. By the late 90s, after the RICO crackdowns, the mafia's golden age was long gone. The De Cavalcante family, the real-life inspiration for The Sopranos, was already limping toward irrelevance. Tony himself admits it in the pilot. He came in at the end. The show also mirrors its era's larger economic malaise. By season 4, the backdrop had shifted from late 90s prosperity to early 2000s insecurity. The American middle class, like Tony's crew, had become overextended, mortgaged, and desperate to sustain an illusion of success. The mobsters' financial anxiety isn't an aberration, it's a satire of the national mood. These men are the spiritual cousins of the suburban strivers they so despise, both trapped in a cycle of excess, both terrified of appearing poor, and both living one bad month away from collapse. And yet, their financial dysfunction also serves a moral purpose. It strips away the myth of the mob as a glamorous alternative to honest labor. These men kill, steal, and destroy families, yet they can't balance a checkbook or plan for retirement. They wield fear in the streets, but tremble before tuition bills. Tony's empire is not a monument to power. It's a treadmill of diminishing returns, where the constant motion masks the fact that no one is getting anywhere. In the end, the gangsters of The Sopranos are not rich men, they're broke men with expensive tastes. Their money is as ephemeral as their loyalties, and their financial woes are just another manifestation of their spiritual bankruptcy. Paulie steals from old women, Vito throws away a shot at redemption, and Tony himself dies, metaphorically, if not literally, as a man who could never tell where the money went. The Sopranos understood something that countless gangster films before it didn't, that the real tragedy of crime isn't getting caught, it's realizing that all the risk, all the blood, and all the bluster amount to nothing more than a stack of crumpled cash and a lifetime of pretending it's enough.